and welcome back to the Community Lounge here, Adobe Live. My name is Tim, and today I'm joined by the one and only Joe Allam. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Joe. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, Tim. It's been quite a while since we've done a live stream together, but they are always fun, and just of course, a special one, Adobe Max.
Chaotic. Yes, Adobe Max. I don't know if you've heard, but Adobe released some great updates yesterday, just before the keynote. And Joe, you are a photographer, a videographer, travel expert, and I've heard that you will show us some of your favorite new features of both Photoshop and Lightroom. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I am a travel photographer. Of course, the last 2 years, I haven't been doing much travel, so work's been kind of a bit of a weird one. But fun thing, I had my first trip back, came back literally just a few days ago. I had a trip to Malta, and I've got a collection of images. I've not even edited any of them yet, but I've gone through and I've rated a lot of images. Yeah, so this is literally a first takes using Lightroom. We're going to test out some of the editing things, and yeah, this should be fun.
I saw the video on your YouTube channel. All right. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was quite a personal one.
But before we get started, just very quickly, we have 25 minutes today, and we are joined by the wonderful people out there in the chats, because this indeed is a live session, unless you're watching the replay. So make sure to join the chat either on max.adobe.com, on behance.net/live, or on YouTube. You're watching all three, and post your questions in there. I will be reading them and trying to get them into the session. But now, shall we just dive right into the first photos?
Let's jump to it. It's cool. So I'm a Lightroom Classic user, and what I love about all these updates is they come to both Lightroom CC and Lightroom Classic, which is great. So I've got a collection of images here, and I've rated them all. In fact, from the trip, I've rated a load of 1-star all the way through to 5-star. Unfortunately, I don't think I actually got any 5-star images from this trip. Maybe I was being a bit rusty. But I've got quite a few images that we can work with, and we can test out some of the new features. So let's start with something like this. Okay, so to start with, well, first of all, we're in Valletta, Malta, and we've got quite a difficult scene here with dark alleyways, a bright sky. There's kind of a lot happening, which is difficult to work with. But I'm going to attempt to help balance this image out and improve some of the sort of visibility and legibility of what we've got. So first of all, there are some new presets that Adobe are happy to share. So if you update your app, you should get these included. And we've got a whole host of different ones. So we have a subject here, travel, which I must admit, I find that kind of funny wording, because the image doesn't know that you're traveling. This could be a local image.
Ooh.
But we know what it means. There's a certain vibe and aesthetic about images having this sort of nostalgic memory-like emotion. And I think that's what we're trying to convey here. So let's just start with, I'm going to start with something like this. Okay, so this is kind of a cool toned image. And let's go into edit. First thing I want to do is I want to correct the perspective, because we're a little bit skew-if on the verticals on things. And let's just take a look at the verticals. And I think we're all good. And also I'm going to crop in so that the center of our frame fits down that alleyway.
And Kirsty says, I love new presets. That's absolutely right. Some of the most gorgeous ones coming up. And of course, also we have someone saying Lightroom Classic for the win. That's right, Eric. Lightroom Classic.
Yep. It's still going strong.
Yeah.
So we've, okay, so I've applied a quick preset, which you'll see that is done a few things with the HSL sliders, a little bit of a tone curve, some color grading, and I think that is about it for what the preset does. So it leaves our basic panel ready for us to play with. So I can do just a quick couple of adjustments. I don't want it to be too cool, this image. But the main thing I want to show is what's new in terms of the adjustment, what do they call it? The specific adjustments. So what was, the gradient, the brush, those types of things. We've now got this button up here, which is our new masking button. And there's some AI involved. So first of all, we can just select the sky, and then it's going to automatically analyze the image, find the sky using Adobe Sensei, which I'm led to believe, Tim, you are the actual person at the other end of Adobe Sensei. The orders come in, and you're the one who goes and does all the adjustments.
We wanted to call it Timsei, but Adobe said, like, no, we can't do that. Quickly, also a question from the Max chat. I use Lightroom Mobile. What's the difference between Lightroom Classic and Lightroom Mobile? So the new one and the classic one. What's the difference?
Well, there's a lot of similarities, I'd say. Lightroom Classic, for me, what has kept me using it for longer, even though the newer versions have come out, is the more localized file management and storage. So you've got complete control over when you import your images. They're stored exactly where you want them to be on hard drives, SSDs, whatever. Just higher level of organization and metadata control in terms of renaming your files and other stuff. Lightroom CC has a more accessible approach of a lot of people maybe aren't very tidy, aren't very organized on their things. So when you import it, you can use the cloud software, you can use the organization to really get things working together for you.
In a nutshell,
it also has
Lightroom Classic. If you're already used to Lightroom, the new Lightroom, if you are just new perhaps and you want to try it out, and if you store a lot of photos on your personal machine, on your desktop, try Lightroom Classic. But if you really like starting your photos perhaps on the phone, going over to your tablet and finishing on your desktop or in the browser, then Lightroom, the new Lightroom, let's call it that way, is the app for you. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So
back to you.
So I've selected the sky, and you see that I didn't even refine this mask. I let the sky choose its area.
Crazy.
And so if I hide this on and off, and we got this new window, which, I can move it around. That's cool. So we've got this little window up here, and I can just see on and off what that's done. So previously, I probably would have used a brush, and I would have just gone through and I would have done like a loose paint over and find this area. Now I can just have the sky selected and do my edits and adjustments. And we can compound our masks to do other ones. So for example, if I click into here, so you see that this is an additive one, but I could also do a subtractive mask. So let's do a linear gradient, and this is going to subtract everything out from this area. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this on this particular image, but to give you an idea of what's happening, we have our mask overall, which is saying everything for the sky. And you notice that it comes around into this red area down the bottom. And then we have our subtractive mask, which if we hover that, is saying, but let's remove this area. So if we see overall, you see how we got this fade down the bottom? Mm-hmm. And if we were to, be a little bit clever with this, we can start to merge together multiple masks. You can compound them together. This has beneficial, huge power to it. So let's have an attempt at, let's delete that subtractive one, because I actually do want to just use the whole mask over everything. Turn off the overlay. And let's create a new mask. And this time, let's do a linear gradient, and let's go sideways and do this bit of the street. So we can see here that I'm pulling in from the edge of the frame, and we've also got a bit of the sky, not to worry. So we are on, let's rename this. So double click into there. Let's call that sky so we don't get lost.
So organized.
And let's call this alley. I was going to call it right alleyway, but there's an extra benefit here. We can add another one, linear gradient, and let's do the side one. So now we can have the two gradients running together. And let's call this one left. Let's call this one right. So we can move these around. And then we can have a subtract of the sky. So now this mask has selected everything on my left as a linear gradient, everything on my right as a linear gradient, and removed everything from the sky. So now anything that I do within these adjustments is only going to be having an effect on that area of the building. So we can go, completely wild on this, and we can brighten this up. I'm not really liking that look, but we can do some subtle tweaks. It's all about the subtleties with these things. Just some little adjustments can really give you quite a lot of variance and control. So obviously that is just a very quick demonstration of what the masking can do, but I think it's that compounding effect that is really powerful here.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to see that. So that's kind of cool.
Are you ready for a quick fire round of questions? Very quick.
Let's do it.
Is it a RAW photo or a JPEG? What are you using right now?
So this is a RAW from a Fuji X-T4.
Sky replacement possible in Lightroom?
Yes. So these features are in all versions of Lightroom on
that was
desktop, tablet,
sort of
mobile.
a trick question. For sky replacement, you would go to Photoshop.
Oh, sky replacement.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Not select sky, but okay. And where do we do the masking again? Kirsten, please watch the replay. We don't have too much time for that, unless Joe can show it while I'm talking.
Just a quick top right over here, this mask button.
Okay, so if you don't see that, make sure to update your apps. And okay, I think that's all. Those are all the important questions. Moving on.
So let's now take an image and let's open this one. Where is my edits in? Let's go to Photoshop. Let's see what's new here. By the way, I should mention, there have also been some extra under the hood updates that I've noticed of Lightroom over the last year. And even in this latest release that was released yesterday, it is smooth. It is fast. Just for note, by the way, I'm using an M1 Mac Mini. And the M1 optimization that's been happening on a few of the apps has been brilliant. I've never been happier about it, to be honest.
And of course, new catalog files to reduce storage, batch edit improvements, autosave into XMP files, and so on. More about that on the help X pages of adobe.com. Okay, so we're in the Photoshop now.
So now we're in Photoshop 2022. And if we go onto our new object select tool, previously we had to draw a box to choose your object that you want it to work with and find. And you see that that's just found the wing pretty nicely. But now, if you have the object selection tool, you can just hover over and you can see what it's actually trying to find. You can be like, oh, yeah, that is the object that I was looking for.
There you go.
So we can select various objects and we can, do our adjustments on things. So let's say we wanted to do a bit of a curves adjustment just onto the wing and those types of things. So we have those features and benefits available, which is great. Likewise, selecting sky and subjects and things like that has also come over into Photoshop. And let's open up a different image actually that shows this a little bit better. Let's do something that's got multiple objects because this is kind of cool. So let's try this one, and we can try another one live and see if it's gonna work. So let's say we've got our object here, and you see that with my object select tool, it's finding the various different objects within our document. So I can click onto these, I can make my selection, I can hold shift, I can make other selections, various things. I can also hold option to remove selections. So very similar to the other select tools, really. You can go and do all sorts of things, which is pretty cool. There is also an update with the neural filters. So let's have a try. This is what I was going to use this image for. So if we select our image and let's go neural filters. So these are the AI powered updates. Now some of them, they're still in beta, right? They're still, yeah. So it's going to use a lot of your updates and information to improve them. Now I'm going to say straight up, personally, I'm not sure if these are things that I would use too much in my workflow as a photographer. However, from what I've seen with a lot of games designers and developers, people who are creating games for like next gen consoles and all sorts of other things, one of the tasks that they use Photoshop for and other things is creating textures and creating texture maps and just all sorts of different artwork. So I feel like these features are more for the compositor, the art worker in Photoshop, rather than necessarily the photographer. But anyway, let's show what we can do.
Yeah, perhaps for compositing anything that involves images where you just need to change the season just a bit to make it right. Those are really great. And of course, since you said those are in beta, so they will continue to improve and hopefully be much more versatile in the future. But they're already pretty cool. So what are you going to do?
So let's give this a go. So I've gone into the Landscape Mixer, which is one of the new ones in beta. Got a few presets. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. So we've got, obviously it's a snowy scene. This is over the Alps. And let's see what it thinks.
I'm going to be the hovering art director. Could you make it more green? I feel like this image just needs a bit more grass. Not the... There you go.
There we go. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So we've changed our landscape and we've added a load of trees. It's also got a little bit confused with the wing. So if we preserve subjects, that should hopefully work out that actually, you know what, the wing doesn't need grass, doesn't need
It's
moss.
A very mossy wing. It's a green airline, you know?
It's knocked off about 100 miles an hour on the airspeed there.
But it's very environmentally friendly. They compensate. Oh, there we are. Wow.
There we are. So it's done a better job of that, and we've still got a little bit of issue here. But isn't that kind of interesting that it's, recognized this scene before?
That's amazing. And it didn't just tweak colors like, increase the green a bit. No, it actually added some trees. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Could we have a sunset on that, please? No, just kidding. That's fantastic.
We can give it a go. So we can reduce down the strength. We can increase up a little bit of the sunset. Let's see what happens. But yeah, you can see we've got these sliders for different adjustments, a few different presets and stuff. So this is something, this is where these new powerful machines are able to process things like so much more
on device
than what they were before.
If I may add.
Yeah, so this is kind of very much early days, I'd say still. And like I said, I don't think this is something that will necessarily fit into my workflow, but I can see how other artists can get very excited about this. And there's a few other neural filters to go and play around with. To have fun with. So that is a quick look in neural filters. Another thing that is new is the way that we can share documents and work with different, collaborators and stakeholders of projects and things. It's been a while since I've done my design work with hovering art directors and all sorts. However, I can see immediate benefit to this. So I've got this document here that is actually what I use for my thumbnails, for my videos. So I create all sorts of different options for different thumbnails, and I save them all as layer comps, and then I export them out. And this way, everything that's within this document is set up for my thumbnails, and it's repeatable and hopefully consistent across the channel. So let's have this document. Here's an option here, and this is saved in the cloud, by the way. So say Photoshop Cloud document, so I can open it on an iPad if I want. But we've now got the ability to open it on the web. So if I copy this link, and Tim, am I right in saying this is only in Chrome?
I know that we definitely tested it only in Chrome. It may not work in others, but definitely working in Chrome.
So we can open this on the web, and we can also add in some extra comments and documents. So, let's place a pin, for example, on this text, and I can say, can we center align this?
Can you move it 2 pixels to the left, please?
So I'm writing notes to myself, but you can imagine that you'd, be working with other collaborators who maybe don't have Photoshop, but they of course have a computer and a browser. They can open this up and they can do all sorts of things. But we can take it one step further now, and we've got Photoshop on the web in beta as well. So here we go. Try it out. Photoshop on the web. Continue.
Yes, please.
Hold our breath.
And this is opening
Reading file.
Photoshop in the browser.
Reticulating splines, all sorts. Here we go. All right, so we're in. This is it, right? We are in Photoshop. Yeah, we've got our comments. Which, by the way, if I quickly switch back to Photoshop and open our comments, we should.
This panel sometimes takes a bit of time because obviously we don't want to refresh every single second and waste your internet bandwidth, so it doesn't refresh in real time. So
gotcha.
That's why.
Jumping ahead of the gun there. But within Photoshop on the web, we've got access to all of our layers, and we've got some basic editing adjustments. So for example, within my titles, so this was the option here. So maybe, I had these different layers, but actually let's take our text, and if we wanted to, we can move this somewhere else that we'd like. We could do, some extra adjustments with moving other layers, turning things on and off. So it's very basic, but there's more coming. I think I saw in the release notes that they're wanting to work on things like curves adjustments and other things. But let's say, for example, where are we? Images. So we've got this main image here. I can add a bit of an adjustment layer, and let's do a color balance. And let's maybe warm this image up slightly, do some tweaks, make some extra adjustments and all sorts. And yeah, let's move the text over and position it like that. And now if I save that, is that going to update? Does it save automatically? Here's an interesting one.
It should if it's a cloud document.
Yeah, maybe we have a button here, open in desktop app, saving to cloud.
May take some time to download that because if you look at you don't have it enabled, but sometimes in the lower left corner you can see the file size, so downloading and uploading, of course, and we're streaming at the same time.
I see.
So it can take a hot second if you also happen to be live on Adobe Live at the very moment.
Absolutely. But anyway, yeah, just doing some quick adjustments and sending it off to your producer, your art director. They can get their fingertips involved and either improve your file or mess it up entirely, depending on your relationship or your creative team.
Oh no, right.
Yeah, that is a quick run through of some of the greatest things, and I think we've got a hard cutoff, right, at 25 minutes.
Yes, we just have a very tiny bit of time for me to talk about the next upcoming streams, because this by far isn't the last one of today. No. We do have another great session coming right up on the community lounge here on Adobe Live, and I can show you that. Hang on, there we are. There we have our session First Text Photography with the one and only Joe. After this one at 2:30 or 3:30, depending on your time zone, we will be back with Tony Harmer, the one and only, and we will be talking about video. So don't miss that. Again, you can watch it on max.adobe.com, or you can stay on Behance, or stay on YouTube. That's all great. We do have some more questions, just perhaps a few last ones, since we don't have much time. Can you add your own photos into the landscape mixer? That's yes, you can totally do that. And where can we see more of Joe's work? You can either search him on YouTube for his YouTube channel, or, which of course I prefer, you can watch Adobe Live, where we often invite Joe as a guest or as a host. And of course, if you want to learn more about photography, which I've also seen a question, check out the Max sessions on photography, and that should hopefully give you lots of inspiration. That's it from us. Thank you so much for joining us, Joe. Any last words? Thank you.
Have a great Max, and if there's a session that you want to go and watch and enjoy, the one with Monaris yesterday was a lot of fun. So wonderful. Go and recommend that one, definitely.
All right, I will leave you with the schedule. See you soon in about 4 minutes. Bye, everybody.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.